For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm going to do a bit of a review video on a new tent from Vango. So with me here today I have got the Vango Lismore TC. So the Lismore TC is actually a tent range that is available in poled and also in air. So with this video we're talking about the poled versions, and we've done a separate video on the air, so you can always check that out if need be. Lismore TC is available in two sizes. We've got the 450, which I've got with me here. Also, there's a 600 XL. And what we're going to do a bit later on in the video is look at the 600 XL, albeit in air, just to give you an idea about comparison between size between one and the other, to hopefully help make your mind up. The 450 for me is really a true four-person. I would say it's definitely more orientated at sort of small families or even sort of a perfect kind of couples tent. And I think that's a really nice addition to the size range. Certainly seeing something in polycotton in that small size, be it poled and air, I think works really nicely. The 600 has been probably one of the best sellers for a number of years now, so it's nice to see they've not necessarily got rid of that. But now there's obviously a poled alternative with the Lismore. If you wanted something like this sort of size, but not necessarily this sort of TC polycotton fabric, they do the same models in both poled and air in polyester. And again, you can check out our little review videos we've done on that. There is a few differences between, say, the polyester version and the polycotton. First and foremost being not only the material, but we've also got storm straps on the front and back to give better bracing throughout the roof. Also, the polycotton benefits from the fact that you've got Skytrack in, and we'll cover that all throughout this video. So first and foremost, polycotton. Why would you go for polycotton over polyester? Now, polycotton is more of a natural fabric, something a bit nicer. It's got a nicer, softer handle, quiet in the wind, but it's that more sort of throwback to classic kind of cotton. You get the element of it because it's the blending part. So what you find is actually that on a warm day, the weave will actually expand, allow the air to pass through, so it's a lot cooler on the inside. On the flip side, on the cold days, the weave contracts and keeps that warmth in. So it's the best of both worlds, and it reacts to the temperature quite nice and neatly. And it's all about making a more comfortable environment inside of it. If you have a look at the summer we had in 2022 in the UK, it was certainly warm, and I think those who had polycotton really did benefit from it. Also, you find that in terms of its lifespan, it does last longer. You're probably looking at about 2 to 3 times the length for a polycotton fabric over a basic polyester. Other sort of benefits to the point as well is generally, I've personally, you haven't got that sort of pitter patter. You've got a nice little pitter patter of kind of canvas when it rains. The sort of caveat, sort of cons to polycotton is a bit bigger in terms of the pack size. It's a bit heavier, and I use the term a bit more high maintenance. Mainly because it's cotton based. You wouldn't want to pack it away wet and leave it in the bag for more than 24, 40 hours at a push. Really, you want to get it back up and dry it again, otherwise mold and mildew is likely to set in. It's not really a big drama, it's just knowing what to use it and taking care of it in the right manner. As long as you know a polycotton, and often people, once they go polycotton, they don't go back to polyester. So this is quite a nice alternative. There's not many sort of polycotton pole tents in the market in the UK, not without spending mega money, because then it goes up to steel pole. I'm thinking of like the Yosemite. That's over £2,000. So this offering is completely a different ball game completely. We've got fiberglass poles, so again it's something that's light but still fairly resilient. They are basically pre-angled as well. Excuse me. So it's all about trying to create a maximum amount of room inside rather than having the general kind of arch where you lose it in the sides. They're color coordinated, what you find as well. So your main ones we've got here have little black tabs, so the pole itself would be black all the way throughout it, whereas the one over the bedroom section is a little bit lower, so it's got a grey tab on that sleeve, which signifies there'll be a grey section in it. So when you come to putting all the poles out, you can physically distinguish between what is where. There's adjusters on the bottom as well, so you can actually, again, happily get it in. And actually one thing I do quite like is that the pole sleeve itself isn't sort of low down. Like here, it's fairly at the top. So this makes it easier to feed it in and get it directly into the ring and ping at the bottom. So it's all about making things simple. And then you have little clips to retain that fabric nice and close, again, to give it that element of structure. When you move to the 600, basically you get an extra pole, and there's an extra one for the living area, just because the living area generally gets a little bit bigger in terms of its overall size. The 450 is about 3 meters wide. The 600 XL is 380. So you do pick and choose what you go for. The thing I do like about the 450 is it gives you 70 centimeters per person in the sleeping area, whereas when you jump to the 600, you're looking at 60 centimeters. So you get a little bit more less space per person by going bigger, but that's where I think, you know, you're talking like a true 4 versus a very comfy 4 if you were to sort of scale up. PVC windows throughout the tent as well help give plenty of light directly in, but also you've got that clarity when you come to look out of it. On the side door here, what we actually have is kind of Vango's sort of mesh part to it, so it's really quite a clever thing where we've got ventilation into the tent, but we actually then got a privacy curtain behind, so you can go outside to get it, and it zips up quite nice and neatly. This side door also doubles up as almost like a little mini canopy, so what you can actually do is unzip that. You have to buy some additional king poles, but what that will then do is allow you to bring this door out and create an extra little canopy with it, just to give you a bit of space. And that's the same feature for the 600 model as well. If you really wanted to, you could look to extend and add on a bit more space to the side of it. So there is a range of side awnings. They're not polycotton, admittedly. They would be polyester, but it would be a way you could actually make the tent a bit bigger. All of the entrances into the main living area have a sort of fold down flap, or comes up a bit. So again, you have a trip-free access or wheelchair-free access into the main part of the tent without having to worry about sort of tripping over stuff. And it's worked with it this year really nicely to create extra points in the corners and extra toggle points and Velcro to try and really make it a bit more sealed. That's probably one of the criticisms, certainly in the past, that you had a bit more draft coming in than probably you really wanted to. The front section, be it obviously completely enclosable, should we say? You've got the ability to open it sort of halfway or fully open, depending on what you want. The door goes only from right to left, so naturally you create a little bit of a dead space in the corner there, which is perfect for things like a cooking unit or that sort of thing. I mentioned previously the webbing storm straps on the front and back to give additional tension, and then on the side you've got these kind of guide points. Admittedly, there's one coloured grey, so one slight criticism I'd say is that it might be a little bit harder to see, but a lot of people have been quite creative in wrapping something around that, just to kind of make it a bit more visible and not trip over when you're sober, let alone when you're drunk. The front door itself, like I said, can open up fully to kind of bring the outside directly in. You've got a little retainer clip located here as well. It just helps to take the the strain off the zip. 2 zip pullers allow you to almost create a little veranda with that front part as well. So again, that's quite a nice little feature. And we'll just untoggle that. And then the door can merely roll back just to open up the front itself. I'll just put that in. You've got an extendable toggle point. So you can, even if you're not the best of rolling it, you can quite nicely keep it at bay. But I'll tell you what, we'll kind of bring the camera around and let's look down the heart of the sort of Lismore and talk through more features that it has to offer. So now inside Lismore, you can probably appreciate for that 3 zones we're talking about. Sleeping at the back, your main living area, and obviously then your front awning section. Now, actually, to be fair, albeit the 450 size, this is quite a generous space for the front awning section. I think actually it's about the same, if not just a touch bigger for some reason, probably about the same. I think it's just the lack of pole than the 600. So again, it's a great sort of depth. You know, easily put a cooking unit probably on this side because, like I said, that natural flow of the door opening that way, and then that leaves your sort of main gangway directly into the tent itself. Good amount of headroom height. I'm about 6'2". Can stand up more than happily in the middle. And when we get to the corners, with that pre-angled pole, it does help to make a difference. Just means your chairs and stuff can be a little bit closer to the edge of the tent. On the outside, I did mention about this lip. It comes down, so you've got the ability to have trip-free points in here, or thing that toggle up nicely to get that sort of seal. The door itself works really quite nicely that you can physically shut it, which is always helpful. But you've got mesh on either side of the door, along with the door itself. So what this does, it creates your bug-free barrier against all of the elements, and means that when you have a light on in the main living area, you haven't got to worry about the flies and stuff coming directly in, or the mid-season. And then when you want your privacy, you can merely zip up, use 2 hands for it, make it proper. So you can get your privacy like so, zip it up. You don't have to go fully at the top. You can go kind of halfway to allow some privacy, but also still allow some ventilation. Or failing that, of course, enclose it completely. And the whole door then just, as we saw earlier, toggles back nice and neatly. On the side sort of front windows, What you do have is a kind of a window material to kind of cover up those curtains. So again, it still allows a little bit of breathability, but you then don't have, you still have that element of privacy. There are no curtains kind of in the front awning section, so they're only really in the main body of the tent itself. In the middle section here, we've also got one PVC window to the left as you look at it, and then obviously the mesh zip-up curtain to the right. The big window we've got here, again, you've got a curtain material to it, and what you find you also have, it's a toggle up curtain. So what you have the ability is bringing it almost halfway to allow a bit of privacy, or you take it fully up to the top. So you can really kind of pick and choose what you tend to go for. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to take it halfway to make it quite nice and neat, and just sort of flaunt off the different designs of it. You have a cable entry point located at the front of the tent, which is just down here, and then also one normally back towards the side here, or you can always utilise the entrance if need be. It should be it's that side. So you still have mains hookup access into the main part of the tent, or even from the awning into the main living area. Other things to mention as well is the fact that we have a darker bedroom in here, so it's a bit nicer. And it helps to feel much darker than the normal Lismore, purely because the outside fabric is a bit darker itself. And we've got a 2-berth and 2-berth bedroom. There's a divider between them, so you've got to make it. You can remove that completely if you wanted to have it as one big open 4-berth bedroom. Whereas you move to the 6, it's 3 sections. You've got a 2, 2 and a 2. Again, you can move it all open or split it directly down the middle, which we'll have a look at later, to make it a 3 and a 3. Standard depth, and we've also got storage pockets built into the bedroom section as well, so you put things like your keys or your phones or torches. They're easily accessible during the night time and you know where they are. Hanging point for lanterns are located throughout the tent, so one in the front awning section, one in the front door, and also then one above the bedrooms. Even with the pole model, you actually benefit from having Skytrax. It's Vango's unique system where you can add hanging points across anywhere along there. And what essentially will do is you can utilize it to have almost like a storage organizer directly down, have a lighting system running all the way throughout it, or even just have, one across to the other and use it for a bit of cord, something to dry towels with. You can really be quite creative in what you do with it. It is only positioned above the bedroom because it's more about adding extra features to that. I think for me the storage pocket would be one of the key things I would definitely recommend, but it gives you that kind of option. Other things you benefit from Vango's system is you have Vango's TBS, stands tension band. What essentially it is a additional bracing bracing system internally. So what you can do is basically creates a triangle formation with a top out to the sides to give you more stability on the inside. Essentially, if you had wind coming from one direction, what it's going to do is retain the shape. I mean that the actual part of it stays the same. It's something used in kind of Vango's high-end backpacking tents, and something they put in literally all of their tunnel tents. Just it's one of those things to sort of have and not need, the need and not have. And naturally, it's not something you put in all the time. Just maybe when you leave the tent for a while, or you are caught in a bit of a gusty situation. Let's kind of pick the camera up actually, and we'll come inside and talk through some more features up close that I've just previously mentioned. So, probably bet you can see actually the size we have in here. So like I said, this being the 450 size, I'm pretty sure the tunnel section's about the same. As we move into kind of the main living area, it's quite compact. You've probably got enough room just for sort of a table and chairs in there, but it's going to fill that room quite quickly. Personally, I'd probably put like a table or something along the side here, and you can see it's quite a nice wide panel. You've got your privacy curtain, which you can open up into half or fully up, and there's the curtain discreetly tucked away down the side. And we can see the mesh not only on the front but also on the side, and then we've got the curtain is rolled up nice and neatly there, and it's a really nice sort of, again, polycotton curtain. I've got the lip down a bit at the moment, so you can sort of see it's kind of daylight coming through it, but you can obviously lip that up as and when you need to. The darker bedrooms are really quite nice and dark, and you've got little kind of ventilation points at the top along the side. I'm not sure you can see it, but there is storage pockets located there as well. And then you've got the divider, and then that's the clear kind of Skytrax system that's located there. If I can focus my camera a little bit. So that's kind of a bit more of an internal side of the 450. When we compare it directly to the 600, you can see definitely a difference in terms of size. So we've got the 450 there, and then we've got the 600. So it is a bit wider in terms of its overall size. You see, in fact, I'm still getting one shot. There you go. So you've got the same door configuration where you can go sort of half or fully open. About the same awning depth. Difference being is you've got an extra sort of, it's 2 panels on a living section. Same idea with the curtains. No lip again directly in. And then we've got the 3 bedroom scenario. So we've got the 2, 2 and 2. Again with divider as I previously mentioned. So you can make it one big open bedroom if you really wanted to, or split it directly half in half. But you've got the sort of 2 PVC windows on that one side. Still the same kind of mesh part at the front. And then 1 PVC window on the side with the sort of curtain. I would say from personal experience, it's probably the same with the Pold. Admittedly, this is the Air version, but the 600 seems a little, even though it's wider, it doesn't feel quite as upright as the 450. I think it's just the nature of kind of, it's obviously got a wider span to bridge, so naturally it's probably not going to be quite as nice from that point of view. But if you've got any more questions or queries or even concerns, you are welcome to obviously contact us directly. And if you want more information on things like the pack sizes, pack weights, floor dimensions, individual features listed, you're always welcome to check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website. We have all the information there at a touch of a button, including things like the the extras you can buy for it, the carpet and so forth. One final thing I will mention is the fact that actually, as standard now with the Lismore, you get the footprint ground sheet included sort of free of charge. So it's included with the tent itself, so it's one extra thing you don't have to worry about buying. It's something you need to consider when you're buying something like the Lismore, that you have got an £80 or £90 footprint included in the price. So when you're comparing, like for like with another brand or another tent, it's one of those considerations that's definitely worth looking at. And the footprint does come in 2 sections, one for the main body and one for that front section as well. So that's also quite nice. But with the SkyTrack, you've got a lot more flexibility with the lighting system, with the storage pockets, or with anything else you want to do with it. And if you're going for lighting, for me, my favourite would be the Sunbeam. They do a really nice 2 metre that works best for the 450, or as a 4 metre that I'd probably recommend for the 600. Just USB, nice and easy. But we've got separate videos on kitting your tent out and things like that as well. But all in all, I think it's really nice to see a polycotton tent back in Pold, and certainly definitely a more price-orientated point. I think that's one thing. Tents have got quite expensive, and you can spend a lot of money on a tent. But having this kind of range in play, certainly in the smaller size, I do really like that. It gives you the ability that if you want the specification of the fabric, but not necessarily all the details in terms of zipper curtains, zip dividers, and that sort of stuff, and deeper bedrooms and so. It's that price-orientated person who knows what they want in terms of that better fabric, but maybe hasn't got the budget to spend on it. And I think certainly with current times at the moment, I think this range has been really quite strong for the 23 season going forward. That's kind of our video review on the Lismore TC in Pold, both in the 450 and the 600. Like I said, if you want to check out the Air version, by all means have a look at that. But feel free to let us know your thoughts and comments in the comments box below. It's great to have feedback, good, bad, or so, from you guys. It's the only way we can always pass it back on to the manufacturer. Sometimes people who know best are the people actually using the equipment, and you are the ones buying it. So, people need to listen to you guys. So, but all in all, I think really positive model, certainly a lot of talking points, and certainly one that generally I personally do quite like. But yeah, that's our little video review on the Lismore TC. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again soon in our next Attwoolls video review.